We've spent about 2.5, 3 weeks going through what I call the irregularities of this whole impeachment inquiry. There are serious constitutional issues that have been raised. I mean, really serious. Everything from separation of powers to the Supremacy Clause to the freedom of speech and freedom of association. There have been attacks made by the California state legislature to try to change the qualifications to be president of the United States by adding a tax return requirement. A court struck that down. There's an attempt by a district attorney in New York, a county attorney for New York, to obtain financial records of the sitting president of the United States. We got a stay in that subpoena just a few days ago from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Then you have the irregularities of the House proceeding itself. Besides the fact that you can't call witnesses, besides the fact that you can't cross-examine, the White House has issued a letter dealing with these issues. That's come out this week. Then you have the chairman of the committee himself saying he did not speak with the whistleblower. And his team did not speak with the whistleblower. That ended up being false. He has a hearing, and he reads a transcript. It said, except it's not the transcript of the actual conversation, which he also had, but he didn't bother to read that into the record. And then this real constitutional issue regarding the President of the United States, through the executive branch, Article 2, exercising constitutionally protected privileges, including executive privilege. And now the House of Representatives wants to say that that in and of itself is a violation of the president's basically his oath of office. It's grounds for an impeachment. Well, first it was the Russia hoax. They couldn't prove that. No collusion. Then it was obstruction of the Mueller investigation, except Mueller did his investigation, and he couldn't establish obstruction, and then he testified. And that was about the last time you heard from Bob Mueller or the whole Russia probe. Then you had quid pro quo with Ukraine, except the transcript's released, and there is no quid pro quo. But there's a whistleblower, but the whistleblower doesn't have firsthand knowledge for most of what's in there. But the whistleblower also didn't bother to tell the Inspector General that they had had conversations with the House committee. Oh, and then the Inspector General found out that this particular whistleblower had a political bias, a political animus. But don't worry, we've got a second whistleblower. Hasn't filled out the forms yet, but has retained a lawyer. Happens to be the same law firm as the first whistleblower. But now you don't hear a whole lot about the Ukraine conversation. Now it's they're stonewalling us. They're not allowing this to move forward. That may be the basis of this impeachment inquiry, except Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution talks about impeachment being from the House of Representatives, not a subcommittee, not a committee. But they haven't had that vote. So they have turned the Constitution upside down. Harry Hutchinson called it, they are grabbing for power by the Constitution. We've also called it an attempt to weaponize the execution of the United States Constitution. What we've seen over the Constitution of the last 3 weeks is an overriding of the Constitution, an attempted destruction of the Constitution. But the good news is we've got a lot of options, and we're prepared to engage those options as is necessary. We're going to take a look at where this came from and where it's going.